5, so we have a quorum. All right, the agendas you can see online. If you please rise with me and let's have a pledge of allegiance. You have it in front of you. You need it. First, the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Except it is divisible. By
I don't know that we have any public comment. Did anybody sign up for public comment?
No, sir, no one did.
Okay. Is anybody from the public here that would like to comment anyway? Okay, just want to clear that. All right, we have the minutes of the May 18th meeting. You've had it. You had it sent to you. We have it in front of you as well. If you've had a chance to review it, I'm waiting a motion to approve the minutes of the May 18th meeting.
Move to approve.
Second? Anybody?
Mr. Minna, second.
Oh, I didn't see you, Ed. Okay, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Financial reports. You have them April, May, and June, and we have our great
Good evening.
CFO.
Rosa Goldman, Chief Financial Officer. We are presenting the financial report for the months of April, May, and June 2023. The financial report contains the report of revenues, expenditures, and changes in cash balance.
Tab 3.
Right. The balance sheet, the investment report, and the note to the financial report for each month. As you can see, for the month of April, there was no additional over budget accounts. Everything stayed the same. For the month of May, same thing, no additional over budget accounts, and for the month of June, the same. So we don't have any additional over budget accounts. The encumbered funds also stayed the same. We had the entire amount for the litigation reserve and the entire amount for the TCDRS as of June 2023. Are there any questions?
Just want to point out that variance is that we have more money actually coming in than, or money left over than we actually budgeted. Is that right?
I'm sorry?
Your variance is a positive variance.
Oh, definitely,
So I just wanna
definitely.
say
Yeah,
that.
we are good with the budget. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Any questions on the budget? And I'll take my time if anybody has a question. If not, we will entertain a motion to accept the report subject to audit.
motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ed Manna, second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Accepted. Thank you, Rosa. So we have a discussion and some action that we need on the health and dental insurance, on the carrier that we use, and on the policy that we have.
Board members, I'd like to introduce Mike Dennis. He does a lot of research for us, made a lot of phone calls. You'll see your packet. We've already passed it out. It says Compass benefits, and it'll show you, there's on the right and the back, there's a list of all of the companies that he did contact. Mr. Dennis, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Michael Dennis. I'm with Compass Benefits. Today, I have Ms. Annette Almanza here with us also. In the packet, on the left-hand side, is a recommendation letter for action for the renewal. And on the right side, we have a simple spreadsheet and a carrier list. Good news is that we have received another rate reduction this year of about 2%. Last year, we also had a rate reduction from Blue Cross. And we went out to the market, and the rates are very, very competitive from Blue Cross. That's what we have found out. There was one carrier that also quoted. It's a partially self-insured plan, but it is still slightly higher than the renewal from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Dental insurance is going up by about 2%. However, it's a package deal with the health insurance. If we were to go to another carrier on the dental insurance, your rate for the health insurance will go up by 1%. So that is a no-go. It is our recommendation to remain with Blue Cross Blue Shield, to renew with them for another year on both health and dental insurance. Are there
And
any
board members,
questions?
we have talked, the employees are very happy with this plan. We've had no issues with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I would like to also recommend that we stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's actually a good thing not to switch carriers. We did that at SISD. We went from Blue Cross to another carrier. And we had a lot of issues because there's a lot of growing pains with our employees as far as, Blue Cross used to do this for us. Now, this carrier is not doing it for us. Even though, and you guys are doing the right thing, believe me. You're doing the right thing because of the fact that sometimes you don't appreciate what you have until you switch over to another thing, even though they may print you a pretty picture and it may be in less, but it actually isn't. And yes, it's a good choice to stay with the same carrier, even though it's the same price. Did they go up a little bit or no?
They went down.
It went down.
Oh, that's a
They
no-brainer.
even,
They went down a little bit.
they even went down on the employee plus family.
Oh,
And we
nice.
do have a handful of employees that, we're self-insured on all the employees, but they pay 100% on their family. So to see that decrease for the family was very, I
It's
was
not
very happy
much.
to
They
see
went down a
that.
little.
It's a no-brainer.
Hey, every little bit counts, yeah.
Oh, it's a no-brainer.
Walter, did you have a question?
Yeah, and it really doesn't pertain to the question, but in this period of inflation, I know that these are going down across the board. What is the reason for our health and benefits to go down?
Well, you had a very good claims year. For 2 consecutive years, the group had low claims.
Okay, so we're a good client for them.
Well,
Say yes. No.
yes, yes, you guys. No,
We're healthy
no,
clients.
no, I
We're healthy.
I was going to explain and elaborate a little bit more, but yes, you guys are great clients.
Okay, thank
I
you.
have a question. I like Blue Cross, and that's why I'm going to recommend we use it.
Yes.
That's fine. My question is on what you said, this carrier list.
Yes.
That you only had 2 that quoted, and then you wrote did not submit viable proposal. My question
Yes.
is, what does the word viable mean?
Viable, on time, and also if the proposal are too high of a bid, then it's not
It's still
worth
viable. My question then is, so this isn't a comparable of all your claims. This is just this is what you picked out to be the 3 best.
Yes.
And Blue Cross being the lowest. That's
Yes.
why you're recommending it. But it's not that they didn't submit a proposal. Their proposals might have been higher.
Actually, most of them did not submit a proposal.
Okay.
The only people who actually did submit proposals on time is ABA.
Did any of these submit proposals late, but submit proposals?
Yes, United Healthcare,
Was the only other one.
the only other
They were
one.
just late,
Yes.
which isn't good, but they did submit a
Well,
proposal.
looking at their numbers, they were high in
I got
anyway.
it. Yeah, United is going to be higher. All right, I think it's important that it's viable only because it was on time, and as it turns out, they were among the least expensive. All right, I will entertain any questions.
I just had a clarifying question. On the third paragraph, I think you meant to say we don't have competitive offers from other dental insurance providers. Is that right? It's because it says competitive, so I just had that confusion. But then my question on that specifically was, did we not seek any people to submit
Yes.
anything because it's already packaged?
Yes, we have, but here's the thing. If we were to change carriers for dental, we're losing about $7.33 per employees on the health insurance side. That would equate to about finding a dental plan that's about 27% lower than the renewal. And there's nobody out there with the same level of benefits who can provide that sort of a rate.
How many people are we actually covering under this policy?
All of the staff.
How big is that?
About
What's the pool?
with the retirees, I believe about 180.
180 people?
As So being in a big pool with Blue Cross Blue Shield,
190.
that helps us offset our costs by being in a pool as big as Blue Cross Blue Shield Texas.
So retirees can also continue to participate?
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
they might be the ones who actually provide the claims because our people are young.
We're secondary. When they hit the Medicare, we're secondary. The primary is Medicare.
Okay. All right, so I will entertain a motion to accept the proposal of accepting Blue Cross for another, is it 1 year?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
For 1 year?
Motion to approve.
Shane?
Second.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Have a
Well,
wonderful day.
thank you for your work. We appreciate you. All right. Let me add for the minutes that Shane is here as part of our quorum. Shane Haggerty is here. All right, we're on item number 5. And for that, we had a meeting and Walter acted as chair, so I'll call on Walter to make the report.
Yes, we had a meeting last week. I don't remember the exact day, but we met with the leadership of the Appraisal Review Board just to go over their proposal for an increase in their per diem stipends that they receive on their daily rate. They presented a very good proposal. We evaluated what we could with it, and it is the recommendation of the committee that we agree to their proposal and try to get them what we could. We've talked to the administration, and the administration thinks that they can fit it within their budget. So
What's the daily rate?
So it's going to be 160 for the first 2 years.
What's it at now?
It's at 150 right now. So if people, we're trying to encourage people to stay on the ARB. So the longer they stay on the ARB, the more experience they have, we hope, and the better they are, not necessarily, but we would hope after 6 years, they're better the first year. We have to do a lot of
What's
training.
the chairman and?
I can.
Wait, I'm gonna- well, we'll go over all of them.
Yeah. Your first term members will be $160 for their first term per day. The second term, which would be their third and fourth year, will be $180 per day. Their third term, which would be their last fifth and sixth year, would be $200 per day. That's for the regular members. The chair will be $250 per day. The secretary will be $225 per day. Now, they have a deputy secretary right now that the judge has approved. They'd like to have that person at $200 a day. But once we change over, the new statutes only state a chair and a secretary. So it'll be up to the board of directors in the end of 2024 if they want to keep that position or not. But if they keep that position, they're asking for it to be $200 per day.
So what is the increase to our budget? Have you figured out the effective increase to our budget?
Oh, yes, I have that here. I believe the increase was about, hold on, I had it down. About
And it's
43,000.
and it's not exact because some of the 1 years may stay on, some of the 2 years may drop off. We don't know.
Variables.
So
Right.
it's a variable, but it gives us at least a base upon which we can.
Are we having a hard
I
time?
think it's about 43,000. Yes,
We are having a hard time. We're short
Last
right
year,
now.
last year the board approved 10 additional ARB members, and we've lost them.
this is
So-
not a strange phenomenon. There's shortages all over in all parts of government. So this is
It's 8 hours a day.
This is a natural reaction to a shortage of personnel.
I'd also like an
$200 a
effective
day,
date,
it's a big deal. Give us $1,000 a month.
I mean, a week?
January 1 of 2025.
I'll put that in there.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about 48 to 50,000.
It cost us about
additional.
40,000 more. And I will say that we had anticipated, and we had put in not a staggered 160, 180, 200, we put in a flat 175. And actually, this is below what we anticipated because if they don't stay the second year, the third year, we've got them in a
Let me
160.
ask you a question, Dana. What do other counties?
That's what we did.
In the committee meeting that they had, they reviewed other counties that we had submitted and that the ARB officers had submitted, and they felt like this was equal to what other counties were doing, a mid-range.
And I get it, everything's going up.
We're not the
guys.
highest and we're not the lowest. But this is the first time we've ever instituted a staggered number. So this is and that is a little more complicated for our staff. So you now have to keep track of who's 1 year, who's 3 years, who's 6 years. So there's a little bit more accounting work that needs to get
You're gonna
done.
pay your people that've been on the board, that shows loyalty, some 180, 160, 200, hey, you know what? You've been here a while.
We're hoping
That's-
that'll retain.
That's where, and that's what they told us. We went in there really thinking we shouldn't raise them, and then that's what they said to us. And they're right. I mean, once somebody's had 4 years or 5 years of experience, it's less training for us, it's less effort for us, and if keeping them in there is a big deal. So raising the rate, I don't know that, I'll be honest with you, I really don't know that the rate makes a lot of difference.
Probably not.
So if somebody's gonna do it, they're gonna do it. We're just trying to encourage them to stay on a little bit longer.
And after about a year or two with this, we can bring back a report to see, did it make a difference?
Yeah.
Did we retain
Did they
them
stay?
longer? Did they stay? Right, we
2
can.
years, 3 years.
What type of advertisement do we send out to encourage people to do this?
It's in the newspaper and in a website.
Newspaper anymore,
Well, it's electronic newspaper.
Oh,
It's in the
okay.
written and the electronic. Ms. Carter, your taxpayer liaison, works with the judge to appoint. Now, that's going to change. Next year, you folks will be appointing the 2025 A or B members.
Okay.
But for 2024, and I'll go through that in my
We'll talk
director's
about that in a
report.
minute.
Yeah. But, yeah, we advertise quite a bit in the El Paso Inc., in the El Dario for Spanish, and then, of course, the Times.
Now, the effective date of this change will be the 1st of January of 2024. So it won't affect this year, calendar year, but it'll begin with next calendar year. And by that time, hopefully, we'll get the kinks out of our internal accounting system, and we'll be able to just slot these people.
If there's any more questions, I'll move to approve.
Move to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions? So just so to be clear, you've heard the numbers. I want to integrate into the motion that the effective date is the 1st of January of 2024, because we need a date to start this. Any other questions? Any other discussion?
Who's second?
First, second, right here.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimously passes. Okay. Thank you, Walter, and thank you, Sergio and Absentia, for the extra time you had to put in on that special meeting. All right, discussion, session possible action regarding Senate Bill 2. If you haven't read it, that's a fascinating bill to read, encumbering funds for the May 2024 board elections. Number 6, I'll leave it to Diane.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we're bringing it now. We can either take action at this board meeting, or we can reschedule it for the September board
You
meeting.
have a copy of Senate Bill 2.
Yeah, yes, you guys have a copy of Senate Bill 2, and I'll be talking some more about that also. One of the things in Senate Bill 2 that will change is the makeup of our board of directors. Some of you I was able to get a hold of and explain to you the changes. May of 2024, there has to be an election for 3 board members to be on all appraisal districts' board of directors. That was not in our budget. It is an unfunded mandate. I contacted the county elections administrator, and she sent me an estimate of what that cost is going to be. It's strictly an estimate. She made sure to tell me it's an estimate. May was not scheduled for any elections because it's a primary year, so they have March elections and they have November. They normally don't have May. So the amount that we'll have to pay estimated is right under $700,000. It's $678,000 plus. That's not in our budget, guys. You know, none of us knew, and it's not just us, it's all the appraisal districts across the state. Any appraisal district that's in a county that has a population of over 75,000 has to do this. So what I've put in for discussion and possible action, in our budget, we have a contingency for emergencies. We're only got 6 weeks left of this budget year. My suggestion would be to take that full amount of that contingency, which is $527,886, and encumber that specifically to help offset the cost of the May election for the 3 board members. They're county-wide. The only restrictions are they must be a resident of the county, and they must have lived here for 2 years prior to them taking office, which would be July 1st. So come July 1st, we will have 3 new board members, plus the county tax assessor collector. There'll be 13 of the board members starting July 1st through the end of 2024. For 2025, I'll get into that later. So anyway, the biggest issue is this cost. Now, we have been talking to all the lobbyists and some of the legislators and all of our legislative committees. They're trying to get possibly the governor, if the governor goes into a third session in October, to move that date from May to November to give appraisal districts an opportunity to put in their budgets. The estimate for the November portion that we would have to pay, $923,741. That would be our cost that we would have to pay.
$100,000?
$923,000. That's what I was
Made no
told.
sense.
I know.
That's $1 million.
You know, we don't
That
pay
should
that
be
much.
the
We never paid that.
Well, this is the estimate from, now, again, she stressed, Ms. Lisa White stressed this is an estimate. So, because it is, remember, you only have Socorro. This is county-wide. It is the entire county.
We have other elections going on that we can pick.
You would think
Yeah.
would offset it, but because it's a primary election, the cost is higher, is my understanding.
I don't know about
So,
that. We'll still
I
have to
don't
talk
know.
about it. But whatever it costs, we have to
But
set aside.
we don't even know if that's going to take place. We don't know if the governor will come in or if the legislators will change it to November. If that happens, then you'll see me here this time next year to try to get some funds. Because it's not in next year's budget either. You know, we've already approved the budget. Now, we can put some money in the budget in 2024-25 that will go in effect October 1, and that would be a November, no, that wouldn't be a November election. It would be a November election. So, but here's my thoughts. I need to start putting something somewhere because this is going to be a big cost.
Or we'll have a shortfall, or we'll run short, which we
Well, I'll
can't
have to
do.
pull from somewhere. And here's something else also. It will now, starting next year, when we start in February, March, we give you guys a draft budget. It's going to be bumped up because I'm going to have to put money in for an election for that year and then every other year because they're staggered terms. They go to 4 years. They're staggered terms, so every 2 years, I'm going to have to pay anywhere from almost $700,000 to $900,000 for election.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy. That's tax.
Do you have a comment, Walter
legislatures-
or Shane? I thought one of you said
Oh,
something.
No, I can't,
I can't fathom it either.
I can't.
There's gotta be-
We need to find out. I wish Seth here was here because he'd know what the county pays. It'd be the same thing that the county pays
yeah.
because it's a countywide.
Here's my problem with this whole thing. Somehow these legislators think that we have influence as to values of properties or tax rates, which we have neither. You do in your jurisdiction. If you're elected to a school board, you have some relationship to the tax rate in your. We don't. This board has one responsibility, and that's to administer the administrators of the Central Appraisal
The
District.
budget. That's it.
We don't, but the budget's only them. It's administering the administration of this building. So at the end of the day, you can elect every single person here, and you still have no impact on the tax rate, and you have no impact on the values. The values, now, there is a little bit of latitude because we have been distant, which I thought was always good. Walter and I talked about. I thought it was always good that we were distant from the ARB. They're independent. They do their work. We give them the money, but they're independent. Well, that's changing. We appoint ARB members. I don't like that because that means if we have a friend and I got my property and I got direction, I can actually put my friend there. And if he gets assigned my property, then I have a shot at getting reduced, specifically commercial properties. Because those are the properties that most get protested. I mean, you get a few protests in residential, and when I say few, it's substantially less that what has to go from the ARB than commercial properties. So I think this is a ill-conceived, what it's wasting is taxpayer money. So as we spend $600,000 or $900,000, ridiculous, $900,000 of taxpayer money on an election to elect 3 more people to a body that doesn't have any authority to affect values or rates, I don't know how that helps the people of Texas. And pledge allegiance to the flag of Texas,
Is
you
there a
know?
reason why the tax assessor is gonna be? Is he gonna be a voting member also?
Ex officio,
Not a voting
Why
member.
does he have to be out here?
because that's in the Senate bill
It's-
too.
Look
That's
at the
new.
bill.
So.
That's why you have a copy of this
Folks,
bill.
I don't know what's going to happen. Right now, this Senate Bill 2 has been passed and signed by the governor. Now, it is up for for votes in the November election because it's all tied into the 100,000 school homestead exemption.
Yeah, but it's
They're going to pass it, right? Who's not going to? So I just want to, CYA, I'm sorry for that expression, but I want to cover the district. We have not spent anything in contingency. We have 6 weeks left. Knock on wood, nothing happens. I need to set up some kind of an encumbrance to have some kind of fund. If they're not spent, it goes back as a credit to
It's a
the taxing
contingency anyway.
entities.
So the-
You
so
guys
the-
get it back.
Yeah, so the tax entities won't get their money.
But we need a motion, believe it or not, to go ahead
I
and.
just have a clarifying question.
Yes, please, please. I want a
So
discussion on it.
it's, I think the amount is so high because it's every single precinct in the county versus a school district where we're just
Right,
kind of
right,
covering
right.
our district.
Correct.
So I think
Right.
it makes sense. It's expensive, I'm not saying it's not. But would this be all at-large seats or would they represent different
No,
areas?
at large.
They're all at large. for
3
the
are
city.
at large.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
then you have 9 people run, the top 3 are the
No,
ones that get elected?
Only 3 run.
No, but let's
No,
say
but
you have 9
9
people
Oh, but 9
run, the
people
top
run.
3 get elected.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
13 total.
Yeah, they're not running from a jurisdiction,
At
they're running
some point,
citywide.
we're going to throw them in.
Countywide.
But
They take office July
they,
1st.
some get 2 years, one of them's gonna get a
'Cause it's
2-year
new, 'cause
term,
it's
one's
staggered.
gonna 4-year term, it's
Right.
gonna be staggered.
But the makeup of the board is still going to be the same. We're just adding 3 new seats plus 1 ex
No.
officio.
They're changing that too.
No,
Okay.
actually, just for next year, for the year 2024, I'm hoping, and that was part of my director's report, is we're going to call your taxing entities. I'm hoping everybody would agree to stay on and ask them to keep you on for the year 2024, because December 31st of 2024, you guys are gone. And we leave the 3/4 rule. Is it all right if I jump to my, okay?
Well, you know what, let's get this vote.
Let's get this one and
Let's
then
get this
we-
vote.
yeah.
Okay.
So the vote is to allow us to encumber the contingency reserve specifically to handle, and correct me if I'm wrong, specifically to handle the potential of an election that might cost the district some money as early as this coming November.
This coming May.
I'm sorry,
So here
coming
goes,
May.
motion to approve
the encumbering of our
what
contingent,
Mr. Burt was.
okay.
So moved.
There's a motion,
said.
there's a
There you
second.
go.
Any questions? And you got it down, so we got it covered. Any questions?
Whatever he said, I did the
All in
motion, he
favor,
said-
say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes again unanimously.
Thank you, board members.
Let me get, I know it says taxpayer liaison, but since we've got this in our mind, what I'd like to do is maybe jump
Jump
for a
up,
second.
okay.
And let Dinah go with this
that
her
okay,
report
Tracy?
so we can bring it in the rest of this.
Okay, thank you, because I do want to go over this. So another part of in that Senate Bill 2 is the change of the makeup of our board of directors. Right now, we're on what they call, and most of your large districts are this way, and even some of your small ones, are what they call 3/4 rule, which means we have representation from the lower valley, from the upper valley, from the school districts, from the county, and from the city of El Paso. So we have representation of the entire county because we're so big and spread out. So it gives Lower Valley, it gives, Tornillo ISDs and Socorro ISD in the city of Socorro. It gives them an opportunity. Same with the Upper Valley. Well, that's going to change. Starting January 1 of 2025, our board will be made up of the 3 elected, the county tax assessor, and 5 members.
County tax assessor as an ex officio.
That's ex officio. 5 members that will be determined the previous October by resolution by votes based on levy. So basically, in your entity, the levy that they generate, and the county is left out, the only ones that are included in this are cities and towns, school districts, and the community college. So we will have to send out a letter in September saying, okay, it's time for you to make your nomination. They have to, by resolution, figure out who they're going to nominate for those 5 positions, send that back to us, then we send that out from the individuals that qualify, all the school districts, the cities and towns, and the community college, to everybody, along with their number of votes. As an example, Rick Medina and I sat down and we looked at if that would have happened this year. So the city of El Paso would be getting about 1,732 votes.
One seat.
Well, for 5, they can put them all on one, or they can spread them, so they could, from one person, EPISD would get 1,138 votes. Socorro ISD is the next one with 862. Isleta is the 4th one with 536 votes. Community College would have 313 votes. And Cañetia ISD would have 188 votes. We go down to as low as 5 votes for, say, the city of San Lazario would only have 5 votes. The village of Vinton, 5 votes. The town of Horizon, 30 votes. So it's going to be a big change for us here at the Appraisal District and for your entities. I wanted to call the entities, but I wanted to talk to y'all first to tell you that this is part of that Senate Bill 2 that'll be going out. So I'm going to ask the entities to please, if y'all don't mind staying on our board for one more year, to just kind of roll you guys over. If they take no action, you stay on our board. If they reappoint you, you stay on our board. It's kind of up to you to talk to your entities, because I'll be calling them about that. Because you're only going to be allowed to serve 1 year unless they appoint you and they vote for you and you have a majority of votes. Because we're going to have 5 positions. So come July, you guys are here, hopefully. Nobody leaves us for a year. You're going to be adding your 3 elected and your county ex officio tax collector. So from July 1st to the end of 2024, there'll be 13 board members.
And then it'll be 8.
And then it goes back down to 9, including the county.
Well, but
Yeah,
ex
but 8,
officio,
yeah.
they're about-
8 plus the
There'll
county
be 8.
tax assessor.
So I'm trying to understand.
I know,
insane.
it's really,
insane.
yeah, you need to look
I
up the
guess
Senate
let's,
bill.
let's say
Yeah.
that EPISD puts our 2 names on for nomination, and then they split the 1,100 votes, 550 for each one of us.
You may both lose.
And then we have to kind of do that across the board until the ones, like like we go to a board meeting and then we say, we're allocating X many votes to these
Right.
people, and this is how EPISD
Right.
votes. And then the board has to approve it. And then the highest 5 will be the ones that get applied.
Correct.
So you could both lose. If you both come with 550 and some Tornillo, which is, I'm using them as an example because they're nothing. They don't have many votes. But if somebody else comes up with more votes than 550, you both are out.
It's what happens a
EPISD
lot.
doesn't have representation.
And this is under section 6.03 of the tax code. What happens in other districts that are smaller, they tend to combine their votes. They're allowed to do that.
Right.
So a lot of the smaller
Right.
entities will combine their votes, and they end up maybe with more votes.
Knocking
than,
out
not, so,
EPISD.
you know, we just are not sure how that's going to go, because we have been 3/4 from the very beginning to allow everybody to have representation. So this is very well going to change. So it's under 6.03 of the tax code. It's part of what we gave you in that Article 5 of Senate Bill 2. Again, this is up for vote by the public, but it's all part of that $100,000. So you know it's gonna get voted in.
And here's the problem. Remember that the responsibility of this board is simply to oversee the administration. We don't have any effect whatsoever on the tax rates or on the values. We don't. So this is insanity. To put this much pressure on your central appraisal districts statewide, I can't for the life of me, and maybe you've been here longer, I don't see the benefit. I can't figure out. And maybe they think we'll have more influence on values, but really that's the ARB function.
You're trying to bring logic to the state legislature.
I just pledged allegiance to the Texas flag. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be interesting. We're going to be calling everybody and Now, we're lucky for this year. And another reason I would like for your entities, and again, I have no say, the entities are the ones who appoint you, and you guys tell your entities if you want to be on or not, is because we're getting 3 brand-new elected, may have experience, may not, having a board of made up of folks that have been on here for a while, I think will help with the transition of at least adding the 3 elected officials, so they'll understand a little bit more. So that's another reason why I'm going to ask your entities.
And even running an election, the people that decide to run county-wide for a position that's not even paid, you know how expensive that is?
And it's countywide. That means all the way
Yes.
from Torneo all the way to Cantillo.
So, and to run for a position that'll maybe last a year, that it's not a paid position.
With no power. You have no authority. We have no authority.
Nobody.
We pass a budget,
What are
but
these
that's
guys
all we
thinking? Like Walter said, this is trying to make sense.
At least on a school board, you have some authority. You get to decide. We have no authority.
Yeah, they'll have to determine the elected ones in what we gave you. They'll have to kind of draw straws as to who has 1 year, who has 2 years, but they stay on to 2026. But again, the way it reads, in fact, here, I have mine right here. Why did you do that to me, David?
And so there's some misconceptions. People say, "Oh my God, he sits on the cap."
Yeah.
They have a misconception of what the essential president is.
Those that are appointed will serve 4 staggered years,
Right.
and that's in the even number years. Those that are elected will serve 4-year terms. Those are in the odd number years that they get replaced. So basically, almost every year. Now, to get it going, they've got it set up to where the appointed ones will start January 1 of 2025, but there'll be some that'll be 2 years and some will be 4 years. The elected ones will start July 1 of 2023, but they'll have to draw, one will be for 1 year and then two will be for 4 years.
2024.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we have to keep track of and let entities know. So the entities are going to be confused for a while because we're going to be sending them, okay, this is the year you have to do this. So it's going to be.
And now we're appointing ARB board members. It's going to be
Yes.
huge conflict of
So
interest. We have to be so careful.
In 2024, and I hate to say this because I'm afraid you'll drop out, but in 2020.
We have no criteria. We have to create a criteria for how we appoint them.
Right. In 2024, the board of directors of 2024 will have to appoint the ARB starting as of January 1 of 2025. So that's going, and 2 of those people that vote and appoint them have to be 2 of the elected. So your quorum is going to have to be made up of whoever y'all are, plus at least 2 of the elected to be able to appoint the ARB for 2025.
Just, if the vote is 6-2, and those 2 happen to be the elected people, you cannot appoint the ARB. You need at least 2 of the elected people
So
To
to
approve.
agree, or if you have 8 people, we're gonna have 8 people on this board instead of whatever we have. We're gonna have 8. Of those 8, if 6 of those 8 are in agreement as to who the ARB members should be, but the 2 who are not happen to be the elected people, at that point, you cannot appoint the ARB. You gotta go back and negotiate to get one of those 2 to agree with you, or you're.
And we're going to get that clarified because, are they part of the
It's
quorum
insanity.
or do they have to vote
It's
for? So yes, this coming year, 2024, we usually appoint the board of directors, the appraisal review board. We send out notices the end of August, September. You'll be doing interviews, October, because we get them interviews, and it'll be the board, you'll have to have some kind of
I'm
committee.
telling you, when I'm here, it's going to be a subcommittee. So expect that you probably are going to be. We're going to have a subcommittee.
Well, that's the judge.
We're not bringing them
Yeah.
before the board.
It's used
Makes a lot
to,
of sense.
years ago, when the board of directors appointed the appraisal review board, the appraisal staff, management staff, and some of the clerks we'd have an interview committee, and we would meet with all the people that applied, and we would say, okay, do you know this is going to be most of the summer? What kind of experience do you have? And then we would take that report to the board of directors and say, okay, out of this stack, these guys met the qualifications, out of this stack. We're not allowed to do that anymore. So the CAD staff is not going to be allowed to be involved whatsoever. The liaison will send out the notices, send out the notices in the paper. We'll receive the applications. We'll review the applications to make sure they have been here for 2 years, they're not related to anybody, they don't have delinquent taxes. Work with the board of directors to determine, do you want to do interviews? Do you want her? Which she can't
No, we will have a
interview,
subcommittee.
so it's going to have to be y'all.
We'll have a subcommittee.
So we're gonna, and she's gonna have to help you set up your procedures. Oh, speaking of, so your bylaws we're gonna have to bring the bylaws to the board for changes. Because the bylaws yes, so
Totally.
that'll be later.
Also the judge or just the ARB board?
Just,
No more
the
judge.
judge will be done after this year.
No more judge, Ed.
The judge, we have found out, and this is one reason why we were waiting till we went to a legislative update, we can get the judge to appoint for 2024. So the judge can appoint ARB members for 2024.
That's why we're pointing.
But after that, for 2025, it has to be the board of directors and all of the board of directors, which
That's why
includes the
we're-
Let me
elected.
just tell you the problem here. In 2025, some of you are going to be spinning off, like Walter will have completed his 6 years, right? When is your 6 years
Oh, no,
up here?
here there's no term limit for board of directors.
I thought it was 9 years.
No, there's no, 10 years. It's 5 terms, okay, it's
Oh,
5
okay,
terms. But all of y'all are up for renewal this year.
But all of
because
us
we don't.
qualify to go for another year, or 2 years, or
No,
3 years.
well, yes, you all qualify
wanna
to go.
lose
Yeah, no.
these guys.
Yeah, everybody qualifies. Walter hasn't been here for 5 terms yet.
No, I think he's.
I think he's 3, I think this is his 4th term, 3rd or 4th
we
term.
can't
So,
lose.
so y'all, if your entities appoint you, you're only going to be appointed for 1 year, because starting December 31st of 2024, the existing board no longer exists. It has to go the other way. So we're hoping to, at least for a year, to keep everybody on. Everybody's up for renewal, nobody's termed out. Now, here's something else that is interesting. They changed the tax code, last legislation before, to state that board of directors, because some board of directors had been on for 20, 30 years, and they said, no, it's too long. So they changed it to where a board of director member could only serve 5 terms. A term is 2 years. They didn't say 10 years, they said 5 terms. Well, now they're saying the board of directors can serve 4 terms, which is 5 years each term. 4-year terms. Your terms are now 4 years instead of 2 years.
16 years.
So 20 years.
Jeez.
So if it's 5 terms and your term is now 4
no way.
years, it's 20 years. So they've
I'm outta
gone,
here, guys.
so they've gone back to, so they've gone back to the thing they wanted to change in the first place by only having just,
Right.
so, but now that you have 4-year terms, they didn't change the fact that you could be there 5 years.
So 20.
5 terms, I'm sorry, so 5 terms of 4
I
years.
just think this board has more authority in rates or values than it does, which we don't. And
So-
they just don't get it. Did Cesar Blanco vote for this?
Yes.
So my thought is we need to invite him.
And everybody in the House
I'm gonna
voted for it
invite him to
too.
come to one of
Everyone
our next
voted for it.
meetings.
You know why they voted for it? Nobody realized this was added at the very last, what do you call it, the
They
13th
snuck
hour,
it-
the
they
13th
snuck that in
day?
there.
They snuck it in. There was a representative that for years has been trying to get the board of directors of appraisal districts to all be elected at large. And it's always never made it to the floor. And they snuck this in at the last. Everybody was concerned about property relief. And that's what they looked at. Okay, now that I've really got you going, let me give you some good news.
Really quick,
yes,
Ms.
sir.
Kukor, on a situation like Dr. Acevedo and I are both up for re-election in
It'll be 2
2025.
years from now.
But I understand
Oh, a
that, but I'm
year.
talking about when we go to this 1,000 votes for EPISD stuff.
Right.
What do we do if one of us, we'll say in January, we put Dr. Acevedo up, he wins it with 1,000 votes for EPISD, one of the highest, but then his term's up and he chooses not to do it? Do we have to go through that process all over again, or is it appointment?
There,
He can run at
no,
large.
no.
He can run at large.
There is a section in the new Senate Bill 2 that addresses vacancies. So there's a section in there that will address vacancies.
What you explained a while ago, you could have both of you, because y'all have enough votes.
You can split your votes.
Yeah, we split our votes.
Yeah.
But to
Now-
Mr. Berg's point,
Now,
we
here's
could-
one thing that we're trying
But
to get.
if the little entities unite,
Yeah.
they could outnumber one of their votes.
We're also
They could actually
trying,
outtake
we're
it.
trying to get clarified because there's 5 positions. So we're not sure if the entities get to fill 5 positions or 1.
Okay.
So we want to get that clarified.
Yeah.
So can you split, my understanding is you could split your 1,100 votes 5 ways. You could put 200, 200, however you wanted to do it. You could split those and you could nominate 5 people. The El Paso ISD could nominate 5 people, and then they get on a nomination list with a whole bunch of others, and then you could pick the 5 and you could split your votes. That's my understanding, but we're going to get that clarified to make
So
sure.
Paso ISD can have 5 of their board members here?
Yeah.
Is that the way I'm
Well,
understanding?
well, there's only 5 altogether, so the city of El Paso has.
City of El Paso has
more than-
1,700,
No,
so,
The
yeah.
answer is they can't have 5, but what I'm afraid of is little districts are going to get totally shut out. They have no
They're going to
representation.
get shut out.
And the county, how about the county, has no representation.
They're out, totally.
No matter how much
So-
money we give in taxes to the courthouse and whatever, the county has no say in how the administration of this.
Right. And of course, we still give them an appraisal roll, so they have to pay into our budget. I
They
mean,
just have no
we're still
say
doing, they
in
just
the
have no say in it, yeah.
Because remember, that's all we have is the city
So
administration.
we'll get clarified as to, my understanding is there's going to be 5 positions. So each entity that's entitled to can give 5 nominations.
But you're splitting your
And
votes.
then we'll send all of the
You're
nominations.
diluting your
Right.
opportunity.
So EPISD gives 5 nominations, the city gives 5 nominations, Canutillo, Socorro gives 5 nominations, everybody gives 5 nominations. Then we send that list of nominations to all of those entities, and then they take their votes and they determine how they want to do it. But we got to get that clarified, because I don't know if each entity can only nominate 1, or if they can nominate 5.
But I think if you do the math, it's very likely that EPIC will have 1 appointee
One
now
appointee.
instead
At least
of 2.
one.
And I would
The
say the
city
city
will
has
have 1.
At least
and-
1, yeah.
And so forth, so.
Yeah.
Who's going to lose out of the little districts?
The
Little
smaller
are gonna
districts
have no
will-
say.
It's almost, it
Again,
seems
it's only for the
unfair, it
district.
really does.
It's very unfair.
And the county has no say. They don't get any.
That's even more unfair.
So all I can say is you're right. What you're saying is right. But at the end of the day, all we do is administer the administration. So at the end of the day, I don't understand why there's so much effort. I thought what we had is a pretty good system, but I'm not saying. Is there anything else that you need to add?
Yes, I would like
Thank you
to,
for your information.
I want to change it to more upbeat, and then I'll turn it over to Tracy. We did certify timely at 98.5% to the taxing entities. We were very happy about that. We had a little over 40,000 protests. It was about the same that we've been having the last couple of years. So we've done really well there. Settled informally in residential, 46%. Commercial, 19%, and business personal property, 51%. So in residential and in business personal property, the majority of the cases were settled informally. Wanted to let you know we've started up our classes, our training classes. Our appraisers are out in the field, and I wanted to pass around some pictures. Please take a moment. We had a back-to-school drive, backpack drive from the staff, and we collected around 200 plus or minus backpacks. We were able to supply for Tornillo ISD. They have very little out there. We were able to supply backpacks for the elementary and the middle school. We had staff that took them out there, and the kids were just thrilled. We also were able to give some to some classes at Fabens ISD. We contacted San Elizario, and they had someone else that was taking care of their students. Tornillo had no one, so we adopted Tornillo this year. So we've got pictures to pass out. And that is my report for today, so I'll let Ms.
I will say that Dinah and our staff are going to Salt Lake City in what, 10 days?
Yes, and off the record, something very exciting may happen, and I'll present it in September.
Keep yourself tuned because something good may be happening.
Yes.
But I will be accompanying them as well, and if you wanted to go, now it's a little late, but we'd like to see more board members go to these conferences. All right.
But yes, in September, I'll be
Any
able to
questions of that
present.
before we move? All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tracy.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Tracy Carter, Taxpayer Liaison Officer First off, I would like to thank you all for allowing 45 ARB members to be part of the board, because we did make it to 35 at the end, but we did have 11 panels going. ARB worked endlessly. They worked 6 days a week to get all the hearings heard. So the county protests were finished by August 4th, and they will be coming back in October 2023 to hear the motion to correct protests. In front of you, y'all have a blue folder. If you guys can please open that up. On the right-hand side, I have evaluation forms that were filled out by property owners, and please forgive the misspelling. I tried to do them verbatim, what they wrote down. The same way I presented to the state comptroller's office is the same way I'm presenting it to you all. And attached to them is a response after I listened to the case and I called the property owners. I called the property owners that did have their number. If they didn't have their number on there or tried to take out all the information, I did not call them. But based on the evaluation forms for the ARB, the taxpayer was asked. The courtesy, excellent and good combined, 33%. It said for 2022, there's a no difference, no change. Attention to you, excellent and good combined, 25%, a positive increase of 3% from last year. Level of knowledge, excellent and good combined, 25%, positive increase of 3% from last year. Appeals process, excellent and good combined, is 8%, a positive increase of 8% from last year. Explanations given, excellent and good combined is 1%, positive increase of 1% from last year. Time reasonable to complete the hearing, excellent and good combined, 40%, a 13%. Last year was 13%, so a 27% increase from last year's. The overall impression of the CAD, excellent and good combined, is 18%. It's an 18% increase from last year's. So these are only based on 12 comment sheets.
And these are only for the appraisal review board. Even though it was on a comment sheet that we use for our employees, they used them for the appraisal review board. So these are not the employees of the appraisal district. These are based on comments for the ARB.
And also, I'm just going to read a few of the comments. Panel did not take in consideration a CMA I brought, incompetent personnel. I feel my home was found overpriced. The amount of repairs needed weren't really taken into consideration. It seems to me that the decisions made are pretty arbitrary. My evidence presented was almost irrelevant, as I felt that it appears like the panel has a set mindset as to property values. It's like this is what it is, and that's it. When I asked for a question for clarification, I felt like I was treated like I was stupid for asking what the ARB stood for. This is the worst kangaroo court I have ever seen, a star chamber. So also, I did receive emails. I received an email from a property owner. She had did a telephone ARB hearing. So as while she was calling, the ARB was trying to call her. The ARB states in her notes that they tried to call her twice and there was no response. I did look into it. I did talk to the appraisal review board chairman, and the property owner was on the phone but was talking to the CAD staff during that time trying to get through. So the issue was resolved. The ARB agreed to hear her case again. And she did write that she was looking for an increase in value. The appraisal review board did follow the procedures, and they based it on the market value. I also received 3 administrative complaints. The first 2 is from JLP Enterprise. I'm going to go ahead and give you a summary because I know it's long. They were letting us know that the appraisal review board, they felt that the appraisal review board did not look into their evidence, did not look at their pictures, did not look at their estimates that they brought in. The property owner was not happy with the J.D. Power report that the Central Appraisal District, he felt that to be able to determine the value on a mobile home, that it should be based on the property being seen. So I did speak again with the appraisal review board chairman. He did agree. He did feel that the appraisal review board did not take in consideration. So he went ahead and reheard these cases. So these cases were resolved. Another one was from Mr. Gonzalez. He was stating that he had came in for Appraisal Review Board informal meeting, which is also the former meeting, the same date. He did not come to an agreement with the Central Appraisal District. He went to the Appraisal Review Board and he asked the chairman if he can please have more time. This property tax code book states that if you want to request, you need to request before, not the day of. He was requesting the day of. So the ARB chairman was letting him know, I'm sorry, we can't do it. Then Mr. Gonzalez mentioned that he did not receive the evidence that Central Appraisal District that was supposed to present to him, that he did not receive it. So in that case, through further investigation, no, he did not receive the evidence. So that case is going to be reheard again in October. Currently, right now, I'm working with the taxing entities for the Truth in Taxation website. And now with the information that we received from the state comptroller's update of the legislation session, I am going to be trying to get with the judge so we can start the interview process, the advertisements, when she wants that to go out, when she wants to set up the interviews, and hopefully get them appointed in November. Does anybody have any questions?
Tracy, let them know about the survey that'll come out. Did you?
Okay, yes, we will, every year, the state comptroller produces a survey from all the property owners that come in. We have computers in the lobby. My job is to get the surveys from every property owner, to ask them, how did the ARB treat you? Were they courteous? Were they attentive? Were they knowledgeable? So I get that information. So I will provide that information as soon as I get the results from the state comptroller's office.
It's like a survey monkey type thing that Tracy catches everybody when they come out of the panel rooms, and a lot of them will sit down and fill out the survey. But it takes the comptroller's office a while to put those reports together. So that's usually towards the end of the year, the first of the next year, that she has that information for you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
So the process has been followed.
Yes.
There aren't any flaws in the process. And
If I felt there was, I will communicate with the Appraisal Review Board Chairman.
for the record, we don't think there was a flaw in the process, and the process was followed in every case.
Yes.
There may be people who are dissatisfied with the results, and that way, if they were dissatisfied with the results, but we used a contiguous process that did not vary from taxpayer to taxpayer.
Correct.
And the comparables that we had were shared openly with all the taxpayers. They may not have accepted those comparables, but we had backup.
Yes,
To
and
defend
also
them.
the property owners they're able to request the evidence in advance.
Right, but we would make it available. We didn't
Yes.
withhold, is where I'm going.
Correct.
We didn't withhold any evidence. And
If we found that somebody requested, because every now and then there's a glitch in the computer, if we found that somebody requested information, didn't get it, we would immediately get the information and we would agree with the chairman of the ARB to reschedule.
so I just want to make sure that we follow the procedure and that everybody was given ample opportunity to receive the information from which we derived the values. And like I was looking at this top one, which was this Alcala and Silva. So he felt it was a kangaroo court stamp. But at the end of the day, he was provided with comparables in that neighborhood
Yes, correct.
that gave, and he just refuted those. He didn't think that they were fair. He gave you 2020s and 2021s. When we start an ARB hearing, is there any sort of a prologue that lets people realize that values have gone up this particular year, and it's not exclusive to your particular property, but all values have gone up? And
The ARB is not allowed to start a hearing with saying anything other than.
oh my God.
It'll be either the property owner that will start or the appraisal district will start giving testimony. The ARB has a set script that they read, telling them about what's allowed and not allowed by the code, but they can't get into any.
And that's by statute. We don't have.
Correct.
My issue here is that I just wonder whether we prepare people. If they come in already expecting that we're going to give them a reduction, and then when we don't, then they get mad. So if there's not some way to prepare them for what may be a non-reduction? I mean,
Well, we do send out notification on taxpayer remedies, rights and remedies that they can use,
before they come in.
yes, before they come in.
Oh, yes, it's
Then
part of their
that's
packet,
fine.
yes. Yes, it is.
That's fine.
We also send out in their appointment letter, we send out what is recommended to bring in, photos and pictures, and we give them a list of things that they can bring in as evidence. That's sent out also. So there's a lot of information. Unfortunately, I think we're all a little human. We don't always want to read everything, but there's a lot of information. If y'all have received your notices, you know, there's a lot of stuff in there to read. So.
I do bullets to give them less to read. And then, is this filled out voluntarily by everybody? Because it seems to me that those who are angrier fill them out more
Exactly.
than those
Yes,
who are
Mr.
not
Burke.
angrier.
It's,
Correct.
it's very difficult to get upset property owners to fill out the surveys.
So my question is, how many, you had 12 comment sheet? You had
Yes.
12 So that is skewed out of 40,000 people.
Absolutely, it's
Now,
skewed.
when she does the survey on the computer where people sit down and go in, when she gives you that report, it's very positive. It seems like a lot of people that are positive experience, they sit down and do that. The ones that are not, they want to write it all out. It seems like, you know, but that's how usually the survey, it does give a very good, y'all received one last year. We can send you it again if you want it, but every year we get the survey and Tracy gets it and then she breaks out the El Paso part. And it's mostly positive, but
I
unfortunately.
guess what I'm saying is, taking the time, making the effort to get 12 people who are negative to respond to this is wasting taxpayers, is wasting Central Appraisal District. I know you want to do this, but it's not, it's so skewed. And I mean, what really got me was, how do you like our new office hours? Well, some people didn't like them. I mean, give me a break. How do you not like?
Someone added an extra box,
Well,
do not like.
Now, this form, Mr. Berg, this form is a form that when the person comes in for their hearing, this form is on there because it has their account number and their hearing time and everything. And it's made for the property owner to fill out regarding the appraiser, the appraisal district action. But unfortunately, so many people will put about the ARB on here. So when they drop them off, they just put them in a basket. And when we separate them and I research them and find out, nope, this wasn't the appraiser, that was the ARB, then they go to Tracy. Well, the taxpayer liaison has to keep track of anything to do with the ARB. So we want to redo our forms to try to make them maybe color coordinated or something. But we're not going to stop that. People will still want
I'm
to
okay
write
with
on there.
doing it. I just don't like when 12 people give you results. We take all this time to come up with all these percentages. They're really for
They're
naught.
skewed.
It doesn't do us any good. It doesn't give us any information that makes us better. I want this procedure to be faster, better, more efficient, more accurate. This is not helpful. It doesn't do that. So if we can tweak this in such a way that you can do that, fine. But if not, getting this information from the people who hate you the most, it's counterproductive. It doesn't do any good. Questions, comments? Anybody? I promised Walter and I promised myself that we'd be out of here in an hour. I'm real close. Any questions of Tracy or about the procedure? It's going to change dramatically as we change the way we're appointing these people. And you guys are going to end up spending 2 hours, not me, but 2 to 3 hours at every meeting hearing all this thing directly, which now has at least some buffer, but it's not going to be buffed when it comes back to you. We don't have to go to an executive session. Is there any other questions or comments from the board on any issues? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Take this Senate Bill 2 with you.
Who-
It's great
Did you second
entertainment.
it? Who's second?
It really is. I was reading it right now. I was like,
I
what?
think it was over
Walter?
here. And over here.
Dr. Acevedo, you made the motion?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, you second? Okay.
I think we all seconded it. And the time is exactly 6:03, so I missed you by 3 points. I owe you.